Sack Life! Beat Depression and Stay 847. And we are back in dinosaur heaven. Live from Dinosaur Ridge, California. No, Colorado. Not California. Ice cold out here. Definitely not California. Live from Dinosaur Ridge in Colorado. This is Sack Life Official. Beat Depression. Another martial arts for mental health session to help you guys wipe out depression at your own discretion. There's a lot of rhymes going on. Shout out to Jonathan. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for tuning in and for being the first one in out here. Coming at you live from Dinosaur Ridge in front of some nice bulges. Check that bulge out. That bulge out right there. What that is, what you are seeing here is the underside of a Brontosaurus footprint. So, 100 million years ago, there were Brontosauruses walking on a beach, a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand feet above this rock. And they're so heavy that their footprints compress that mud and dirt and sand and water into the soil, into the rock. And then we get this immortalized, solidified, not quite a fossil, but imprint of Brontosaurus footsteps. So that's what you're seeing, the actual underside of that footstep. We're getting basically a worm's eye view underneath the footsteps of a Brontosaurus. So cool out here at Dinosaur Ridge. I have always loved dinosaurs since I was a kid, and this is like a dream come true for me. There are also an even bigger one, and I'll show you, but it might not come through on camera, but further back over there, that whole thing, this whole huge, massive, you can't really tell from the picture, but that whole huge, massive lump is another footprint of a Brontosaurus. Really just trying to imagine the scope and the size of these things. It's almost impossible. It's amazing. So, today, we always focus in on gratitude first, and today my gratitude's going out to Dinosaur Ridge in Colorado for preserving this space, for keeping it free to the people, or anybody who wants to come out here and check it out. Highly encourage you to get out here to Colorado, get to Dinosaur Ridge and see this stuff. It's amazing. I don't know how long it'll be here. It's been here for millions of years, but now that it's exposed to the elements, it's going to slowly erode over time. And, it's a limited time only, like everything else out here. So my gratitude going out to Dinosaur Ridge for preserving this space, for having this dig and having it open to the public so that people can come out here for free and explore and actually get up and as close as you can get to real dinosaurs. It's incredible. There are bones here too, still in the rock, right in your face. So get out here, check the bones out. They're incredible. That being said, gratitude to Dinosaur Ridge. That's the only place it needs to go today. Also, gratitude to nature, gratitude to being alive, gratitude to fresh air out here and sunlight, which we're running out of. And we've got quickly declining temperatures. So before I run out of gratitude for that section, let's move on to the next tool. Next tool, progress tracking tool, is day 847 of progress for me, and I left my chart back in the car. But if you got your chart at home, make sure you're keeping track of that progress somewhere that you can look at it every day. Somewhere you can check in on your progress and give yourself credit for that forward momentum, for those steps forward. Even if it's a small step every day, make sure you're giving yourself credit for those steps, because they'll add up over time into more proof of your resiliency, more proof that you are stronger than anything trying to tell you otherwise, anything trying to tell you what you can't do or what you're not capable of. Your days forward is proof that you are stronger than those lies that depression tries to sell us. Shout out to Nilson Santos. Thank you so much for being here as well. And my buddy Claire out there. Hey there, Claire. Claire says Merry Christmas to everyone. Thanks for that. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. All right, so we got our gratitude section out of the way. We got the progress tracking tool out of the way. Now let's get into the lesson. We're going to kind of blaze through it. We'll have our standard rounds, 3 rounds each, 3 minutes each, 1 minute breaks to catch your breath and drink some water. Check in on you, make sure you're not pushing too hard. And again, we're going to shadow box over here in front of these Brontosaurus footsteps. And we'll sync up for one technique. The check to the teep kick. That's what I want to share with you guys. We'll practice the check to the teep. That is a transition from a checking and blocking kick right into a twist of the hip, bomb, and a teep kick. And you can do that from either side, from your lead check, bang, into a lead teep, or from your rear check, bang, into a rear teep. It's a great move, catch people off guard with. Shout out to Paul Stephen Beer. Thank you for being here as well. And mentioning that check to teep, it's a great move to catch people off guard with in sparring. It's also a fun move to practice on the bag. Really helps improve balance, and just getting those knees up there, it's going to build that muscle memory and make it easier to make those checks in the future. So we're going to be doing this thing from Muay Thai stance. No boombox today. I just don't have enough hands to bring it out here with me. And I'm also compensating for altitude, adjusting for altitude, and I'm going to be dialing my intensity in accordingly. So I want you guys to do that too. Remember, it's not a physical exercise goal oriented program. It's a mental health goal oriented program. So we want to make mental health the top priority and make sure that we're not pushing ourselves too hard and avoid those signs of overreaching, nauseousness, dizziness, lightheadedness, spots in the vision. All those signs mean you need to take a step back and dial down that intensity. All right, that being said, pop into Muay Thai stance, visualize your opponent. Let's get this thing going. We're going to get right into it. Square up with that visualized depression dummy in your Muay Thai stance. You can use that lead hand as a guide, measuring jab, step in and give them the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, bam, bam, bam. Remember, it's a shadow boxing session, so you want to get creative with it and really visualize an active threat, an active opponent, bam, and then practice those moves that you enjoy. But let's sync up for a little bit of technical with some kick checks. Now, we've practiced kick checks many times. We're going to start with the lead kick check. We bring that knee up to the inside of the elbow in our stance, angle towards that incoming kick. So incoming roundhouse, bam, lead check. We checked it by using that large part of the shin. Now, instead of stepping back into our stance like we normally would do, what we're going to do here is we're going to check that kick, and from here we're going to give it a twist of the hip, bump, and a chop of that hand to turn that lead check into a lead teep. So once we've blocked, we don't need to put that foot down. We can go right from the block, whoosh, into the teep and drive those hips forward. So here's what it looks like. Muay Thai stance, guards nice and tight, incoming roundhouse kick on the lead side. We bring that lead leg up to block, and then we're going to twist. We're going to twist in the hip and turn, whoosh, turn through that hip, extending and twisting that hip forwards, chopping the arm for leverage and balance, right? We swing that hand back on the same side of the leg that kicks, and then we drive, whoosh, let the shoulders go back, add more rotational power and more balance in as the hips go forwards, and we're driving the ball of that foot or the heel of the foot if you want to do a little more damage, more sting, right into that center mass. Bring it back fast for a nice, powerful, whipping, stabbing kick, or push through nice and hard for a nice teep push kick there. Different options you have. So let's practice that a little more. You can do it as fast or slow as you'd like, as long as you're giving yourself a challenge from Muay Thai stance. Block that lead kick, turn through the hips, drive through those hips, letting the shoulders go back. Chin stays tucked for balance the whole time. Let's do it again. Check that incoming kick, checked. Turn through, drive through the hips, and let the shoulders go back, turning that check again into a teep. Let's practice with the rear kick now. We're working on incoming roundhouse on this side of our body. We're going to bring that knee up to the inside. Try and maintain balance. Knee up to the inside for the check. And then the same thing, we're going to turn through and drive through the hip. This one's a little tougher if you're in that bladed stance. So you want to make sure you're squaring off after each successful combo, keeping those hips and shoulders squared with your visualized opponent. Let's block that rear roundhouse. Boom. Block the rear roundhouse, and then quickly turn through. Bang. Sending that foot forwards, chopping the arm again on the same side. Keep the guard tight. Block that rear roundhouse. Blocked. Turn through. Bang. Driving through those hips. And back to stance. That's the end of round one. Catch your breath. Drink some water. Check in on you. Make sure you're doing all right and you're giving yourself a challenge. We're going to start incorporating other moves in there. Get back into shadow boxing mode. Staying creative. Shout out to Lisa Luminary. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you, Lisa. We're coming at you from in front of 100 million year old Brontosaurus footprints. These are imprints in the soil that have been immortalized in the stone here as the underside. You're seeing the underside. There were Brontosauruses hundreds of thousands of feet above here, stepping on a beach, pushing through the sand and soil, leaving this imprint in the rock, and it's now immortalized in here on display for your viewing pleasure. If you make it out here to Dinosaur Ridge, Colorado. All right, round 2 is coming up. We got 10 seconds. We're going to continue with those checks and turning those kick checks into push kicks, into teep kicks. Shout out to the other ones tuning in. Merry Christmas. Shout out to Tusabor and to Vic, my buddy, back home on the East Coast. Vic, those are Brontosaurus steps, 100 million year olds. Let's get back into it. Square up with your visualized opponent. Visualize that dummy. Step in. And we're going to start shadow boxing with it. Normal shadow boxing, right? Turn through the hips and shoulders. Drive those punches. Squeeze that fist. Keep your head on the center line. Keep your balance centered. You can move that head off the center line. Work some slips in there. Bang, bang. Throw your punches. Visualize that opponent. And let's sync up for those kick checks. So check that lead kick. And we're going to turn it into a teep like we just talked about. Check that lead kick. And then turn through the hips. Bang. Driving that foot forwards. Turning the check into a teep or a kick of our own. Block that rear kick this time. Check the rear kick. Turn through the hips. Driving those hips forward. And then bringing it back to stance. This is really going to improve your balance. The more you practice this, the better your balance is going to get. The better your kick checks are going to get. Block that lead roundhouse kick with the check. And then instead of putting it back down into our orthodox stance, we're going to bring it up. We're going to turn through the hips. Chop the arm on that same side. Driving those hips forwards as the shoulders go back. Chin tucked will help with balance there as well. Keep your shadow boxing going. Keep moving. Keep challenging you, moving at your pace. Use those different moves that you'd like. The ones you enjoy in your routine, right? Any ones that you want. Bam, bam, bam. You're visualizing that opponent and have fun with it. That's the most important thing. Make your self-care routine fun and accessible and not too difficult. We want a challenge so we can grow, but we don't want it to be too much of a challenge where we'll need to get off for passive recovery. We want active recovery here. All right, let's block that lead check, lead roundhouse, check. Turn through the hips, drive those hips forwards after the check. Bang! Letting the shoulders go back, keeping the chin tucked. Chopping the arm on the same side. Backs to stance. Block that rear kick, check. Turn through the hips. Drive that foot forward and back to stance. Chin tuck for balance. Step forward. Keep your shadow boxing going. Whoosh, whoosh. Rotate through the hips and shoulders. Use those strikes that you'd like, that you enjoy the most. Whoosh, high knees. Whatever you need work on too. Practice those things that give you a challenge. Remember, there's no growth without challenge. So challenge yourself to grow. And remember, what you're fighting for is a better quality of life, one that you deserve. How do you know what you deserve? Is based on what you give. So give it 100%. Let's go. Keep throwing those punches. And let's check some kicks. Check. Turn it into a teep. Back to stance. Check the opposite one. Boom. Turn it into a teep. Keep your balance. Keep your center. Let's go. Exhale through those strikes. Visualize that opponent almost there. Hey. Stand around 2. Catch your breath. Drink some water. We got 56 seconds before our final round. And then I'm out of here. I don't know if I'll be back. If I do come back, it'll be on the top of the mountain, not on the sides of the mountain again. But if you can get out here to beautiful, colorful Colorado, the scenery is breathtaking, and it's free, and it's incredible, and the altitude will change your body and your mind. The altitude is a definite adjustment. I'm going through chemical changes still, changing the depth of my breath, my lung capacity, my oxygen, my ability to salvage oxygen out of the air. So I'm mutating before your eyes, and you could do the same thing. It's all enhancement. When I get back to sea level, I'm going to be supercharged stacked man, ready to go. Shout out to Reed Brickman. Thank you so much for being here as well. We got 9 seconds. We're going to pop into our final session. Make sure you're not pushing too hard, but you are giving yourself a challenge, not taking it too easy and falling into boredom. Back to stance. Visualize that opponent. Square up with them. Square hips and shoulders, and start flowing. Start flowing with that shadow boxing session. Remember, move around. Make it interesting. Experiment. See how different moves kind of flow and feed opposite moves. Pause and hold. Break timing. Hold guard and confuse your opponent. You can turn that hold into that teep kick just like we were practicing. Let's get back into those checks and turn them into teeps. Check the lead, turn it into a teep. Boom. Check the rear, turn it into a teep. Bang. And back to stance. Keep the guard high on the opposite hand and work it in to your shadow boxing session. Remember, don't lean into your punches. Just rotate. Use that rotational force. Drill those things you need work with, and see what combos you can link together. And keep it fun. Visualize that opponent. Visualize knocking those lies out of his face. You can throw clinch in there. Clinch. And back to stance. Keep going. Let's go. Give yourself a challenge. Work speed if you want. Increase that speed. Work some uppercuts. Hey, let's go. Have fun. And work for you. Check those kicks. Work them in there. Tateeb. Check. Tateeb. Back to stance. Keep it going. You work lunges in there too. Pendulum steps. Aye. Keep that balance high. And keep flowing with it. Body shots. Step into him. I was looking at the Dempsey roll earlier that Tyson used. Not really a Muay Thai approved technique, but you can slip it in there for variety. Want to roll around, kind of make a figure 8 with your head in the shell pattern, never overstepping your balance. And what that can do is it can feed your hooks. You can feed those hooks. You see Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson uses it all the time, right? Roll around with it. Have fun with it. Experiment. Merely make it your own, and use those moves that you enjoy. Just keep it tight, and focus form. Focus balance. The more balanced, the smoother you're gonna be. Smooth is fast. Fast is powerful. Check and deep. Check. And that's the end of round 3. Catch your breath. Good job today. Whether you showed up for 1 minute or all 9 minutes, you showed up and you took those steps forward. Every single one of those steps count. So please do count those steps. They will only add up into more and more proof of your ability, of your resiliency, of your strength out here. No matter what temporary feelings or thoughts you are going through due to depression or anxiety or struggles, remember they are temporary. Your proof that they're temporary will be your progress tracking tool. If you're keeping track of that progress, that can be an anchor back into reality when depression or anxiety decide to lie to you again. And as always, I will catch you same sack time, same sack channel, same sack life. Sack man out. Woo!